On the encoder. If I don't ruin everything here, let's get us up. And here we are. Okay, time for the music. Let the music play. Here we go. Can you hear it?
Yep.
So you wanna be
Let's dance. Jason P, my new cool dude.
hanging with a
Really cool. Wait till you hear this story.
looking real
Looking real cute
cute
and fine. Whoa.
casting
your net.
So you wanna be
And we're going to go right now to the bridge and we're going to drum. Bop, 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 bop. There we go. There we go. Thank you very much. I'm Bonnie D, and we're here with another episode of Two Saucy Dame and Cool Dude with my brand new best friend, Jason P. Jason, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I met you through a mutual contact about a year ago, and I said, "Hey, you've been on my technology show a couple times." And I said, "Hey, got to get him on here. He's a writer, he's an imaginer, he's a visionary, he's a sci-fi guy, he's got an interesting life." And I asked you for a bio, and you sent me about 5,000 bullets of your entire life story. And I almost wrote a movie from it, but I thought we would just have you here instead. I'm delighted to have you, and what I would like to do is read a little poem that my good friend, my virtual assistant Sylvia and I wrote together. Sylvia, as you know, is my name for ChatGPT, and anybody out there who wants to name your LLM, your AI, your bot, they'll be happy. Jason, I can even speak with her in French. Did you know that?
No. Well, it
Oh,
makes sense, I guess.
yeah. I'll
Yeah.
say merci beaucoup, très bien. And I'll say bisous, bisous. And she'll say bisous à vous aussi, kisses to you too. And we converse and yeah, not verbal, but we do. So here we go. I'm going to read the opening and then we'll find out a little bit more about you. So here we go. You know us well, you may, Bonnie D and Jason P too, seasoned in life. We love what we do. From LinkedIn's halls to social's embrace, Jason, show and embrace. Come on, embrace. A hug. That's it. We share insights in our savvy people space. That's where we are. Now on We Dish, we're here to play, lighting up life in our uniquely fresh way. No burden there on you. Here we go. Welcoming Jason P., a cool dude on a lifelong quest. Here's my poetic intro, then he'll tell us the rest. From Key West shores to Pennsylvania land, Jason's Navy dad moved them numerous states they fanned. Whidbey Island to Woodbridge, then Beeville's son. Jason's journey through life, yes, had begun. Then a trumpet's tune in the Penn State Band, with tech and taekwondo close at hand, from coding for Army ballistics might to IBM's VPNs. Secure and tight, in Endicott love bloomed with grace, before fate led him to Seattle's embrace. Helicopter soared where his dreams took flight, a pilot's license he earned with might. But fatherhood called, and he chose to stay, with sons in his heart to guide their way. In quiet state college, Jason's life took root as sci-fi and stories became his pursuit. Jason imagines and writes futures wild, where tech and humanity blend beguiled. From comics to tales of society's shift, his stories show where tech might drift. A mantra arose, his creativity drum. If not in this lifetime, then in which one? Influenced by anime, mecha, and lore, role-playing games, and apocalyptic war. Mad Max's chaos, his life's twists and turn, all shaped the tales he'd write and yearn. Jason P., a cool dude unique, a life of adventure, of courage to seek. From tech to the page, his passions flow. Now as a cool dude here with Bonnie D, he shares his glow. What do you think?
Ah, excellent. Very
Good.
nice. Wow.
I'm going to finish the intro now. Here on We Dish, chatting on life's score, culture, music, food, and oh, so much more. Join us live or on demand, day or night. We won't be here, but you can find us and share our delight. Meet us for real in our live streaming glow. Jason, make the glow. We're glowing. Not badly, I hope. Comments are welcome. Just play nice. You know who you are. You know. We Dish, Two Saucy Dame and Cool Dude too. Bonnie D and Jason P. Dishing on life's fun. Pour vous for you. There you go. So, good?
Yeah, it's great. Awesome. I'm like very impressed.
I'm glad. Well, Sylvia and I do a good job together. We work our magic. So I appreciate that. Did we leave anything out in your intro? You want to tell us a little bit more, please?
Hmm. I don't know. Your intro's pretty good. I guess the reason I'm on your show is because of the sci-fi aspect and sort of the writing and everything. And yeah, that really came about sort of like later in life after kids and stuff. And so I don't know if you, I mean, like, I don't know if people that are like watching stuff have ever considered being writers.
I
But
bet
that's an,
everybody, don't you think we're told from an early age, Jason P., that people say, you've got a book in you, you've got a story, write a poem, write a story, write a short story, write your life story, write a screen. Don't you think we're all told that? Don't you think I think everybody secretly wants to be a writer. Don't you think
yeah,
so?
I mean, I do think that it is all on the par with like, oh, you can be like a rock star or an actor or a director or something like that. I think it is on that. But I guess with the thing with writing is like all those other things take a lot of other stuff to make happen. And writing is like, well, all you really need now, you already have, which is a computer,
That's
right?
right.
You don't even need that technically, but I mean, all you need is a computer and some sort of word processing. There's plenty of free software and stuff out there to
Mm-hmm.
do that. And then you just start writing. It doesn't really cost you anything.
That's
Um,
right. That's right.
and you
Just
don't,
your time and your investment of your soul, I think, really, right?
right. Yeah. And so that's essentially why I think writing is like, I have a friend who does like screenwriting. He wanted to go off to LA, and that's what he kind of does now. In LA is screenwriting. But in that case, you've got to like you're writing a screenplay, and then you've got to convince people to like do something with it, right? And a whole bunch of other
Yes.
people, right,
Yes.
have to get in on this to make this thing happen and then to make like a movie. Whereas with writing itself, the only thing you really need is your, like you said, your imagination stuff. At some point in the past, for the most part, you had to convince somebody to publish it, to do something with
Mm-hmm.
your writing.
No
Nowadays,
more.
that's
That's
not
right.
really required either.
That's
So
right.
that other barrier that would, I think, keep people from writing, I think, is dropped
Yep.
away now.
I
And
think so.
self-publishing and that kind of stuff is super, super easy. Like I
It,
actually, I looked into self-publishing and I couldn't believe how easy it was to self-publish a book. And really, the cost can be as minimal as you want. And really, if you if you want to have a nice cover and that kind of stuff, then you need to find a good artist and that. But other than that, you can.
or use an AI program like I
I
do for
know,
the
though, as
cover
you
of my
know, that's
book.
very, very controversial right now.
I
And
know.
so I think the AI art for that, for like a cover, it's interesting you bring that up because we've had this discussion, I think, on some of your previous shows, in that
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay using AI art for things that you would not have hired an artist for anyways. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like my friend who does screenplays, he'll write up some spec script or something, and then he'll use AI to generate some images to sort of like show his ideas of like what he thinks a
Mm-hmm.
character looks like or scene or something.
Sure.
And those are things you wouldn't have paid an artist with anyways. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you go out and hire artists just to get like a concept sketch or something done for a spec script. If you're at a studio and they're going to do concept sketches, then yeah, they'd have an artist and they tell them what to do and they do it. They get paid. But when you're like an independent person or something doing a spec script, you're not going to do it. So I personally don't really have a problem with somebody using AI to do that. But then when it comes to the book cover, that
Mm-hmm.
is a little tougher for me to say, oh, okay, it's okay. I mean, I understand using it because if you're independent, you don't have the money to pay an artist and
Mm-hmm.
that, and you have the uh, book
Mm-hmm.
done and everything, and you want to do it. And I think the issue for me comes with using it now is that the AIs have been trained on things that are not
I know
art that they paid for.
that's a whole other discussion. I use Photoshop for my art and I'm having a ball with it, creating a book cover in Photoshop with images that I brought
Right.
in and pictures. Listen, it's time. We have to find out the cool dude music. What are your
Oh,
favorite songs? Three, four, five songs. Jason, tell me what defines you, describes you, explains you as a cool dude. Talk to me.
all right. Okay. Well, all right. So the first one, I guess, would be the one I picked out that's kind of like sort of my origin song or whatever. The song that sort of describes why I do what I do is The Cat's in the Cradle.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, by who's that? Who did that one?
Was it
Uh,
not
Harry
Cat Chap?
Chapin.
Yeah, Harry
Yes.
Chapin. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
a Long Island guy. Yes, I remember his music. I was on Long Island at the time. Go ahead.
Well,
So
yeah.
what does that tell
Well,
about you?
well, because if you listen to the lyrics of that song, it's essentially about, being too busy to be there for your kids,
Mm,
right? And essentially
mm-hmm,
he's too busy, and at the end of the song, his kid turns out just like him and is too busy to, have
mm,
time for him when he's older. And so I think that's sort of like when I heard that song, this is before I had kids, I was like, yeah, that's what I want to avoid. I want to make sure that your kids are only here for a pretty short amount of time. You're talking 18 years or whatever. So I
yep.
was like, well, when they're here, I want to be like there for them and experiencing as much as I can with them. And then after that, when they go on, they may still forget you. They may get real busy and have their own lives and stuff like that. But at least you did put in the time when they were growing up and can hope that they'll stick around too,
Good
and
point. Good
when instead
point.
of just moving on. So
Interesting.
that's the
That's
first one.
second one. Go ahead.
All right, second one. I'll say I have "Live and Let Die" by either Paul McCartney or Guns N' Roses.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because I played that in high school band. We were like a competitive marching band and went around and did, shows and competed with other bands in
Mm-hmm.
the area. And one of our shows did have "Live and Let Die" in it. It was a great song, fun song to play when, like, in band, a lot of the times you get stuck playing marches and other things that aren't real exciting for a band person. So playing that was really cool, and I just love the way that I love songs that have uh, those tempo changes. Like the whole song,
Mm-hmm.
changes over
A
the
lot.
course of the song multiple times, and they
Yes.
have great explosive moments in that. So that's really cool, and it plays well when you're driving like a Mustang or something. Sort
You
of
kind
cool
of
car.
threw that one in. Okay.
Yeah, so it's and that what leads into that too is also like "Thunderstruck" by AC/DC.
I don't
That
know
one I
that
like
song.
too. I think it's the beginning. Any of those songs where that when the song starts out and you know exactly what song, like within two notes, you know exactly what song it's going to be, right?
Okay.
And it's going to amp you up and stuff. That's another good one for driving and in fun cars. Which is weird because I'm like a complete like environmentally conscious person. Otherwise, like I recycle everything and I
Okay.
compost. I do all that.
Good.
But I do like my muscle cars. I do. I don't know why.
Okay.
There's
Well,
something
that's a
about
cool
them that is
dude.
like
That's a
they're like art. They're like
yeah.
rolling art to me, like the
Today,
lines of
to,
muscle cars and stuff.
today they are.
And
Do you have any more songs? I want to give you a
I
couple of
do.
mine. Okay, go ahead. Next song.
Last one is "Stick Season" by
What's
Noah
that?
Khan.
No?
You don't know that one? That's like a newer song, and the reason I like that song is because the lyrics are great. Like every lyric means at least two things, and some of them mean three or four things. Like it's the main line that gives it its title, "Stick Season," is it says it's the season of the sticks. And so that, of course, means like I knew immediately what it was living in the north. I was like, oh, yeah, he means like winter because, everything dies, all the leaves fall off the tree, and essentially all the trees look like they just got sticks stuck to them. So it does that on one level, right? You immediately have this image of what it is. Plus, the season of the sticks, like the minute the leaves fall off the trees, oh, you get this feeling. At least I do. I get this feeling of like, I know it's going to be cold. It's not going to, you're going to be stuck inside, right? It's not really, and it's kind of dark and usually kind of dreary. So it sets that up, and then it also has this like this emotional feeling, like there's a certain feeling to the season of six. So I love the fact that almost every line in that means like two different things, whatever's on the surface and something underneath. So it's a great lyrical song. So that's
So
mainly
that
why I have
that's a
that one.
cool dude song. So that having multiple layers of meaning is a cool dude thing.
Yeah, well, especially for like writers, right?
Okay, fair
Right. If
enough.
when you write, one of the things they say is like every scene or everything should do more than one thing, should do two or three things. And so hearing a song that's like essentially does exactly that is cool. You get it's a lot of props, a lot of respect for being able to turns out plus it's actually pretty funny. Like the song itself has like the turns of phrase and stuff are pretty funny and it's like catchy.
I'll have to
So
go listen to it. Well, a couple of my songs are, I have combinations here. So the one I like to talk about in the show is Girls Just Want to Have Fun by Cyndi Lauper. I agree with that. Groovin' by the Young Rascals and Dancing Queen by ABBA, because I used to teach dancing and I still enjoy it on a limited basis at home in my kitchen. The second set is She Works Hard for the Money by Donna Summer. I was a competitive disco dancer and teacher, and so that era is still good to me. And 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton, because I used to work 9 to 5. I once had somebody I was dating say to me, "It's after 5. Why are you talking on the phone to a client?" And I said, Because that's the way business goes." And he said, "No, it's after 5 o'clock. Hang up the phone." And I said, "No dinner for you." Something like that. It didn't last much longer than that. Him, not the phone call. And the third one is I found one on the dancing theme. When I leave the house, I shouldn't tell this too much in public, but when I go to the supermarket, the hairdresser, wherever I go locally, I'm in Tennessee now, about a half hour out of Knoxville, but a small community. We're on I call it a peninsula. We have a dam and a river and lots of lakes, and we're out there. Anyway, I have Alexa play music very loud on the highest volume so that if anybody coming to the house would be near the front door, they would hear the music playing in the
Yeah.
kitchen, which is right next to the front door. The one I've been playing, Jason, has been Megan Trainor. And
Oh,
she's got some absolutely cool songs, real, a little bit like Taylor Swift, from the heart and authentic, real deal, and what's going on in the Walk of Shame and Dance Like Your Daddy and all kinds of interesting, just fun stuff. And I like the lyrics, and sometimes I dance to them. So I realized that one of her songs is "I Feel Better When I'm Dancing" by
hmm.
Megan Trainor, and the lyrics are, "Don't think about it, just move your body, listen to the music, sing oe oe, just move those left feet, go ahead, get crazy. Anyone could do it. Sing oh hey oh hey oh hey. Show the world you've got that fire. Feel the rhythm getting louder." She isn't big on rhymes. "Show the world what you can do. Prove to them you've got the moves. I don't know about you, but I feel better when I'm dancing." I'm not singing it right. "Better when I'm dancing. We can do this together. I bet you feel better when you're dancing. Yeah, yeah, yeah." So I like that song. I think that makes me a saucy Dave. I don't know who else plays Megan Trainor in their house when they go to the
I
store.
think the competitive disco dancing, that's a little saucy. I'm going to say that. So
Oh, yeah.
is that hustle then? You're doing the hustle?
It was hustle. I had a professional
Yeah.
dance partner and we rehearsed for months. I was working as a programmer analyst at a community college in Eugene, Oregon. He was
Huh?
a former Arthur Murray instructor and he was a janitor in the art and architecture studio at the University of Oregon. He told me how to push a broom and get a floor swept properly. There was a
Wow.
science to, yeah, Michael and I, and his mother made his shirt out of a hammered blue silk, and I was sewing all my own clothes. I made a matching shirt and a skirt. And I was about 97 pounds, and we chose Donna Summer's MacArthur Park Suite. And the song was "Heaven Knows" right in the middle of that record. Heaven knows just how much. And we came in from opposite sides of the dance floor. He lifted me fully over his head, spun me around, right out of Saturday Night Fever, hun,
Oh my gosh.
spun me
Yeah.
around, death dropped to the floor, and my skirt was a made out of black satin, and it tied at the waist. It was a 360 skirt, and it was completely open, tied at the waist. Black stockings, little black dance pants, and high heels, not too high, a little high with the strap, so they didn't fly off while I was dancing. Spun me around in the death spin around the bottom, and then came up, and then we did our routine, 3 minutes to "Heaven Knows Just How Much You Love Me," and then we finished, I think, with another lift. And we taught on my lunch hour. I used to, as a programmer, I used to go to a bagel store, get a bagel, and I go to one of the senior centers and I would teach line dancing to the senior ladies. Seriously. And he taught at another one. Then once we went to one of the local discos and we said to the DJ, this funky young guy, we said, "We want to bring all our students here." So we invited students from all of our classes to come and we had a line dance disco night. And he got out of the DJ booth and he danced with a lot of the ladies, which was quite a thrill for them. Don't mock me. And
That's
anyway,
awesome.
it was a blast. And then before I met him, I dated somebody who fancied himself as a dancer.
Huh.
And this was in the era of Saturday Night Fever. So we put a class together, he did, at a local high school called You Should Be Dancing. He booked himself as the instructor and me as the assistant. He made about $7 an hour for teaching. I made $2.22. That's all they paid the assistant. It was an hour from my house. Are you ready for this? Are you ready, Jason?
I
A
mean,
175 people showed up for the first class.
oh my goodness.
175 people. It was in a high school cafeteria. They had cleared all the tables out, and they gave us as a stage a Formica table, and I'm in high heels. I swear. So somebody helped me up, and we were demonstrating the dances on this Formica table.
Yeah.
It was insane. And it was a 2-hour class, and it was packed wall to wall because Saturday Night Fever was the
Yeah.
thing. I
Yeah.
can't even. Don't go looking up the date. You'll embarrass me. Anyway, or something. So after the first class, I went to the people at the school and I said, "I need a wooden platform." I said, "I don't know about you, but OSHA, you ever heard of it? Like me
Mm.
falling off a table on your facility?" And they said, "All right, we'll find some wood. We'll give you." And I said, "By the way, I'm working as hard as he is. This is like Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. I'm
Yeah.
working just as hard. I'm doing it backwards in high heels." That's an old joke. Anyway, so they said, "Lady, if you want to be making that $7.21 an hour like he is, you have to start a whole new class and come in as the leader. You're the
Yeah.
assistant. You get $2.22 an hour," something like that.
Hmm.
So we endured the 10 weeks. At the end of the 10 weeks, I think we still had, no, it was 225 people signed up. At the end of the 10 weeks, we still had 175 students.
Wow.
And we were making up our own line dances. And he stole my dances and went to Staples and put together a book, and he dedicated it to me, and he put all of my dances that I had created, and he printed them all up with instructions on where the feet go and all of that. And I thought, oh my God, what just happened here? So that was my, but competitive dancing, Michael and I, the second partner, we did come in third in Disco Hawaii.
Wow, that's awesome.
We did. And do you know who won?
Huh. No.
A woman who didn't tell anybody she owned a dance studio.
Whoa, was it supposed to be? No, that's terrible.
Wasn't supposed to be. I know. But we did come in third with our homemade clothes and we just had a ball. So there we go. So we've done with the songs. Now let's go to OTT, off the top, Fast and Furious. Your creativity superpower, what you love or don't love so much about it. Jason, what's your superpower? You got one? You got many?
I'll have one. My main one is that like I was on an author panel at Penn State here just like a couple weeks ago or whatever, and one of the students was like, "Well, where do you come up with your ideas?" And I'm like, "They just pop into my head." So that's my superpower. Like I've never had trouble. Like something just occurs to me, and then it's the second superpower being I don't need to know anything about it other than like the original idea and then like an initial image, and then I can start writing that, and then all the other stuff just kind of occurs to me while I'm writing. And so I think my superpower is ideas just occur to me, and then I don't need to know where a story's going. I just need to know that first scene and start writing it, and things cut, and then things pop up. Essentially, what happens is I start writing the first scene, and I'll throw something down, like something will pop in my head, and I'll put a detail in, and then I'll be like, "Well, why is that detail there? Like, what does that mean?" And then I'll start, fleshing that out. Like, my mind has to answer questions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So the minute a question pops in there, it needs to know the answer. Then it answers it, and that begets more questions, and it kind of rolls from there. So that would be my superpower. I don't have a lack of ideas, and I have a lack of time usually to write those out. And I don't know if it's a detriment. I'm trying to think if there's a detriment to that, other than having to do an idea like that and do a short story is really easy. To do a novel, you start writing it, and in this current one I'm working on, it's expanding enough that I'm going to be able to fill this entire novel with no problem. But you have to figure out at some point where you got to trim the questions, because you can't answer everyone. Like other ones are going to come up, and so I got a lot better actually just recently on the one I'm working on of saying, well, that's cool, that's kind of interesting, but I think I'm going to answer that question in like 2 sentences and then like move on, not expand on it anymore. So
so curiosity is your superpower, right?
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. And also the downside. I have a show called Read My Lips, Cool Conversations with Creatives, and we talk on that. I have a panel of 3 or 4 each week. People from different walks of life. They're not writers like you, all of them. They're not dancers and artists. They're people. One has been playing piano since he was 7 and owns a piano store and started something called piano yoga. I had a woman who was standing on a subway platform after being the number one in a pharmaceutical company, the number one salesperson in the entire United States, top of the heap. And she was standing on a subway platform in New York one day, and she said, "I'm unhappy." No, she didn't jump, but she said, "I'm unhappy." I knew you didn't want to give you an idea for a book there, Jason. And she said, "I'm unhappy. What am I going to do?" And so she started doing something called Daily Doses of Happiness. And she wrote a book called 6 Ways to Have Fewer Days That Suck. I mean, what a clever title for a book.
Yeah.
And somebody else who had come from a mob family and lots of addictions and all kinds of trauma and violence and everything. And he stopped and he reinvented himself and he studied with the Dalai Lama. And he's writing a book on resilience and how to love instead of hate. And just a charming, charming man. And we talk about courageous creativity and curious creativity and resilient creativity. And that's why when you brought up that you're curious, that's how some people create. Now, I wrote 3 romantic comedy plays several years ago, and one day I just said, I want to write a play. Well, I don't know how to write a play. So I Googled, this was many years ago, I Googled Playwriting 101. What do you do? And somebody had this Word document and I downloaded it and said, this is the font and this is the spacing, the letting between lines, and this is how you do it. And you do the background scene and you define the characters very briefly. And then you have the opening and then you have the instructions to the camera if it's going to be a movie, blah, blah, blah. And I followed it. And in 3 days, I wrote my first play, and then I had a TV show on Long Island, a cable show. And I contacted my friends who were in community theater, and I said, "Come act in my play." And they said, "Okay." And I became the director and the producer and the coach. And we had rehearsals and we used a green screen. And my director, who was usually my director, went to Manhattan and videoed scenes. It was supposed to take place in front of Penn Station. He videoed scenes out of the sunroof of his car of buses and things going on in New York. And then we found a picture of a van or a taxi online with the door open, and then we put a green screen in the studio. This is way before, and I've got a green screen here. And then we superimposed the video and the noise of the city over, and we had the actors sitting on a plain bench in my studio with the green screen behind them, and we ran the video over them, and they were in the cab.
That's cool.
All the action and this it was just, but
Hmm.
what I want to tell you was that my characters told me what they wanted to say.
Right, right.
Do your characters tell you? Do they talk to you, Jason?
Yeah, I mean they do. Like when I go to write a scene or whatever, and then their dialogue comes up, then it just kind of goes out
That's
there. I
it.
don't have to think about it. Hmm.
That's it. I didn't have to think about it at all. And I ran something called a cold reading salon, one of my activities when I was in Durham, North Carolina, at our where we big community. And I proposed this, and I put out a notice to everybody, and I said, just come, bring your sense of humor, bring your courage. And I printed Roald Dahl. These were free, available on the web, no copyright issues. Some of his dialogues, monologues, small scenes, and I threw in a couple pages from one of. I did 3 plays, and I threw in a couple pages from one of my plays. I printed them out. I put them on a table, and I said, everybody, 25 people showed up, and I said, just come and pick a script. And they say on the front, monologue, dialogue, small scene, male, female, whatever, didn't matter. Pick something off the table. You got 5 minutes. And so they all went shuffled around. And then they sat down. I said, take 5 minutes, look through what you got. And this is cold reading. This is not a rehearsal with costumes and scenery and all that. I said, who wants to go first? And one brave soul raised their hand, and she came up and she read whatever the scene was. And we gave her, of course, props and applause. Later in the evening, somebody had picked it was 2 pages from one of my plays, and I forgot I'd put it there. And she's doing the read, 2 of them, the characters, the man and the woman in the scene. And I'm sitting there running this event, and I said, "That's really funny. That's really, really funny." I said, "Oh shit, that's my play." I wrote that. And what greater feeling is it, Jason, than seeing somebody bringing your script, as I had in the TV studio, but bringing it to life with
Yeah.
their interpretation, and it was my words. And I said, "Damn, that was good." The characters were speaking anyway. So my superpower is talking to people. That's
Yeah,
that's
great.
it. Starting out shy, but I love to talk to people. That's why I have so damn many radio shows, and I don't call them radio shows. They're simulcast. They're
Oh.
yeah. We live stream. I don't do the podcast, tape it and scrub it and edit it and get out all the stuff you don't want. It's free fall. There we go. Next question.
Huh.
Let's learn more about you. Coffee or tea? Brewed or instant? Quantity, quality, cup, mug, thermos? How do you take it? How do you brew it? How do you like it? What do you drink?
I don't generally drink coffee or tea, but if I do drink something, it would be coffee, only because it's usually like around. And then I like it sweet, so I actually generally make it into a mocha. And
How do you,
so,
I want your recipe. I want your recipe. How do you make a mocha? Come on.
I have 2 mochas that I make. One is actually mixed up. We actually got the mocha syrup and everything. Have a jug on the counter to pump in there, and then I think we've been changing it. So I think it's regular, just brewed coffee. I put in a little bit of milk. I don't actually measure anything, so that's a problem. I can't give you full recipe. A little bit of milk, put in the syrup, and then if it's like around this time, I might put in some peppermint. We have peppermint syrup too, like a peppermint mocha. And then if I'm camping, I'll put in like somebody brew coffee, and then I'll just dump a packet of hot cocoa in it. So I'll just pour myself a coffee, put a hot cocoa packet in, and there you go.
Where do you find the mocha syrup?
That's online on Amazon. Had it, and it was
Oh.
I don't know I can't remember the brand.
Okay, you can email me afterwards
Yeah,
and tell
yeah.
me. I've tried to replicate, not duplicate, replicate a Starbucks mocha, which is my favorite. I can't do caffeine anymore, so I get a decaf
Yeah.
light whip. I pretend I'm not going to have a lot of whip. I'll give it a full whip, that kind of thing. Decaf and 1% milk. Oh, forget that. Give me the full, the whole thing with the whip and everything. But there's something about that taste of their mocha. I've
It
tried to
is.
replicate it at home, and it just doesn't work. So
Yep.
thank you. There is hope then. So you're not a tea drinker, not really a coffee drinker. I can't do caffeine even with decaf coffee anymore. You scrape me off the ceiling.
Hmm.
But I do like tea, and my little trick is I buy peppermint tea bags, Twinings or another decent brand, Sleepy Time or whatever, and then I will fill a mug with water from the filter in the refrigerator, which I just changed because the little red light said filter needs changing, and I'm too short to see it. And look at what? Okay, it came in the mail. I'll change it. Pop, new filter, and gray filthy water comes out for about the first gallon. Then you gotta wait, and then while the filter is the carbon is
Yeah, I
settling
do.
and all
That's
that.
right.
Rah. Anyway, so I will fill a heavy mug with water from the fridge, and I will microwave it for about a minute. Then I take the tea bag, and the Brits call this, I've been told this is called dusty old American tea. How could you, they say.
Hmm.
It's not China this millimeter, and it's not exactly 122 degrees and all that. I'll drop the tea bag with the thing handle, the little tag outside, into the hot water in the microwave, and then do it another 30 seconds or so.
Okay.
And then I dunk it a little. If never squeeze because the tannic acid will come out and make it bitter. And then I'll take it out and I'll leave the tea bag in. If it's too hot, I'll throw one small ice cube in, and then I will drink it. So it's a refreshing hot drink that's a peppermint flavor.
Hmm.
But I'm not done. If I don't finish it, or if I close to finish it, I fill it up with water from the fridge again and I leave it in the fridge overnight. And then I have a cool peppermint drink the next day. No
Oh.
milk, no sugar, no lemon, just plain. And I can refresh that for another day or two. And if I want something refreshing instead of plain water, take the mug out of the fridge and
Hmm.
enjoy that. So I keep it going not more than about 2 days. So that's my drink of choice these days, and cranberry juice once in a while. Okay, next. It's that time of year. Holiday shopping for family, friends, others, IMO. Oh my goodness. So, are you a brick and mortar or an online shopper? Do you like wish lists from people, or do you pick gifts on your own independently and say, I thought you'd like this? Do you give gift cards? And the last question, this is a big one, very important. Are you a good rapper with a W? Do you gift wrap?
I'll answer the last one first.
Okay.
No, I'm a terrible rapper, and I am not allowed to wrap any gifts in my house. And so I will wrap gifts for other people, like my family for birthdays and stuff. But for Christmas, I'm not allowed to wrap any gifts in the house because I'm terrible at wrapping. Um, so
Nobody's ever
there.
said that.
Yep, I'm terrible. I'm absolutely terrible. So the other parts, let's see. I don't mind. I do like having a list just so I can get somebody, something that they actually want. Though if I'm walking around like shopping or something and I see something that they might like, I'll get that for them. Even if it's not on their list. So I don't mind. I prefer a list just so I can get them something that they want. But I do like to get them a gift that is, maybe not something they hadn't thought of before, if I happen upon it. I don't like to have to go searching for it for days and days, though. So I do like a list. And online versus mortar, I'm turning more recently to doing brick and mortar because I just like to
Really?
be in and see it and be like, and take it off the shelf. Problem is, it's pretty uncommon to walk into a brick and mortar store and see exactly what somebody wants. Even if they
Yeah.
have it on a list, it's way easier to just go online, find it, and get it. So I do probably 50-50. If I can do it locally, at a brick and mortar store, I'll do that now. But if I can't, if it's too hard to go to like one place or two places, I can't find it, then I'm just going to order it online. Um,
Are you near some good stores, may I ask?
Pardon?
Are you near good brick and mortar stores where you would have a good variety?
Yeah, I mean the nice thing about living in a town of the size that we have is it's just big enough to have the stores you need, and then not too big to have like crazy traffic and all that kind of stuff. So it's like the perfect size town.
Ah,
So yeah.
nice. Very nice. Well, the stores that I would go to that I used to frequent that were 2 miles from my house in Durham are almost an hour away from where I am here. The Lenore City, which is across the dam, across the bridge, which is about 14 miles from here,
Mhm.
not exactly around the corner, is mostly industrial, and they've got Home Depot and Lowe's, and there might be a Walmart Superstar there, so somewhere. A lot of gas stations, a lot of supermarkets, and not what not TJ Maxx, and not places that I would like to go for eclectic kinds of gifts. You know, where you find something on the shelf, a jam or a jelly or a special pillow or something. So I'm mostly an online shopper, and I did something very unusual for my daughter-in-law a couple of days ago. I I put into Amazon in the search, Jason, what can you get for the woman who has everything? And it came up with all kinds of interesting. I've never searched that way on Amazon.
Yeah, yeah.
And it came up with some very interesting stuff, nothing too outrageously expensive or over the top or weird. And so I would copy the picture and I was texting with her. We both had a rough year health-wise. She and I, we're fine, but it's been a tough year. And so I said, thinking of you, would you like this? And I sent her a picture and she wrote back, that's really cool. I'd love it. And so I put that in the shopping cart and it wasn't very expensive. So I went back through the list and there's something. I said, this looks kind of cool. I'm thinking of this for myself. Do you want one too? And she said, oh, I like that too. So I piled three things into the shopping cart, and I sent it to her. And then I sent myself some of the same things on a separate shopping cart. But I've never done that before. I was basically, the fancy word is curating. Used to be how you just pick a present. But I
Right.
curated a list for her for my granddaughters who were both in graduate school. It's e-gift cards. It's delivered in 5 minutes. Let's
Yeah.
just go Amazon, get anything you want. Send me a picture. That would be great. Enjoy yourself. And my son wanted a book by a magician. I can't remember, his last name is Delane, I think. He's
Hmm.
a sleight of hand card trick, very high end, and he wrote a book, something deception. It's so popular. There are only four of them left on Amazon. And
Wow.
it's an expensive book. So I bought it, and it was already delivered to his house, and his wife received it. He's traveling and she wrapped it, so he'll get it on Hanukkah and Christmas. So there you go.
Yeah.
But I treated myself. I decided it was time for Mama to have some toys, so I went on a shopping spree. I couldn't even manage to spend $150 on myself, but I bought nine things. And they're coming. Two of them are coming today, and two tomorrow, and two next Tuesday, and two next Thursday. They're all coming in separate packs. But I bought a new handheld mixer for my kitchen. It was
Oh,
very important because the reviews I read, like me, something that's 25 years old and
yeah.
it still works, but it's like high and low. I bought a red KitchenAid, dark red, 7 speed with two different kinds of beaters. Oh my
Um,
God. I think it was $12. It was really expensive. So, but I treated myself to some makeup and some other things, a new travel mouse. I like the little tiny travel mice.
yeah, yeah.
This one was a gift pack from Nokia when I worked there. You can't see it. It's not stretching. I don't want to hurt it. Anyway, so I bought one of those in red also. Wonder why. And something and a hairbrush comb, hot comb with two sizes of rollers. So I really went nuts, and a lip gloss and a mascara, and I just decided I needed stuff for myself, and why not? Instead of
Yeah.
asking somebody. So I couldn't even manage to spend much money, but I'm sure I will love opening my presents for myself. There you go. So happy to us. Now, and gift wrap. I remember the days, and I don't think you're old enough to, when a department store, oh, remember that, where you could buy like Macy's or Bloomingdale's. I know they still have some of those around when they had a gift wrap department. And usually it
Mhm.
was a college student who was looking for money on the holidays. And they had great big bolts of wrapping paper on the wall behind them. And if you wanted the one that had the store name on it, Bloomingdale's, that was free. But if you wanted something fancier, like with little Christmas ornaments or southern decor, you added a couple of dollars, and they
Okay.
could pull it off of the roll, these giant rolls. They must have been like 20 pounds. They'd pull it off, they'd look at the package, they put it on the desk, and they'd pull off exactly how much they meant. They would really need it. They
Yeah.
really would embarrass you, Jason. And they knew exactly
Not
how to
hard.
crease the edges and fold it over and make the points come
Perfect.
exactly right. And then if you wanted just the cheap curly ribbon, that's fine. But if you wanted a bow or something with streamers, add another couple dollars. You could spend more on gift wrap than the gift. It depends. Anyway, they're very professional. It was very, very nice. But those were back in the day, and we don't do that anymore. At least I don't. Next thing, movies. TV, what are your preferences? Drama, fantasy, musical, romance, mystery, comedy, sci-fi, thriller, war. Any favorite actors or actresses? What genres do you enjoy the most? Jason?
Hmm. I don't get to watch many movies or TV shows anymore. I do like good sci-fi films, but there's not that many of those. I kind of generally avoid film, sci-fi type stuff because I'll check out of a movie or show pretty easily if the characters do something that doesn't make sense. And sci-fi
Mm.
has a habit of doing that for plot convenience. So I'm thinking of certain films. There are Alien and Aliens probably being like my favorite sci-fi movies. And then the movies afterwards I can't watch because people like Alien and Aliens were great because the characters did like smart things like that. Everything they did, even if it was not super smart, made sense to their character. So I can watch those and it's great. The movies afterwards, not so much. So I kind of avoid most sci-fi movies. Unless actually, the ones I haven't seen that I kind of want to see are like Interstellar, some of those that are more, cerebral sci-fis. And I haven't gotten a chance to see them because my kids don't want to watch that. So the when it comes to like a series, I actually do like fantasy series. I like fantasy movies like Lord of the Rings, that kind of stuff. I don't write fantasy and I don't really read fantasy, but I do like fantasy movies. I play Dungeons and Dragons and stuff too. So, I like those kind. I do remember the old like sci-fi fantasy movies that would be on like Gilbert Godfrey Up All Night. I don't know if you remember that, where like late at night you'd be sitting around and there was no streaming or anything at that point. This was back in high school. And so you'd have to like just turn on the TV and hope there's something on. And like TBS and all those stations would have these
Hmm.
terrible old movies and they'd have some host that was, getting you through the movie with little cuts at the commercials. So I remember watching those things. Those are fun. I do like some of those old, and I'd like Mystery Science Theater, that kind of stuff, watching those old movies. Recently, I guess I'm trying to think of the closest thing that we've watched recently. You know what? As you get older,
Oh,
this
you're
is
getting
sad.
older? It's
As you
breaking
get
news.
older, you start being like, yeah, I kind of want to watch maybe not biographies, but just like things about history, like historical figures and stuff, because you realize that, well, wait, those people really existed and they went through those things for real, right? When you're a kid, you're kind of like it's just like any other story. But as you get older, you're like, oh, that is life. That's how it kind of works. It just kind of rolls out in front of you. So like, how these people, like, what was it like? Oh, the one series that I watched a while back and we never finished was Mad Men.
Mm.
Right?
Oh, you never finished it?
No, my wife decided
Oh.
we were watching together, and then she decided almost I think second to last season or something that she was like, no, she didn't want to watch it anymore. And so I was like, oh no. So I've never finished it, but I love the series as for all the seasons that we saw. And again, it was like this. Well, it was a time period. I liked seeing something about some time period that I didn't necessarily grow up in, learning about that and learning about like how the people in there thought and what they did, what was normal. And so, yeah, I thought that was a good series. So, yeah, I'm kind of all over the place. As long as it's good entertainment, if it has a good
Hmm.
story, good characters, that kind of stuff, then I'll watch
Yep.
pretty much anything.
I was just shamed that I had never watched The West Wing, and I was told this about a month ago, and I started it and I binged it, seriously binged it. It took me about 2 weeks to get through 7 seasons, and it was unbelievable. And I was
Never seen it.
never an Allison Janney fan, and I am a huge fan right now. She has what turns out to be a cameo at the end of the current season of The Diplomat with Kerry Russell, who
Mhm.
always looks rumpled. Kerry Rumple as the diplomat. She just looks messy, and she's been critiqued for that type of a role she's playing. She should look polished. Anyway, Allison Janney is the vice president of the United States, and she comes in I think the last episode of I think it's season 2 of The Diplomat, and she looks much older and very severe. If you're a fan, I never watched her mom show. I like French detective procedurals, and most of them are
Hmm.
led by very quirky women who are moms, or they're divorced, or they've got a mother and a kid living at home. And there's Candice Renoir, and they usually have an affair with their colleague, and they're usually the boss of the man in the show. So it's Alice Nevers, Candice Renoir tandem, and the woman is usually in charge, and the male companion, the male commandant is usually with them. And I love to listen to the French because I used to speak fluent French, and now I just read subtitles and pretend. But I enjoy those stories because they're so different from what we get here.
Yeah.
Also, there's one called Deadly Tropics, which has two females who are both cops and their male counterparts, the Emmy and a couple of detectives, and very interesting personalities that are over the top. They either fall in love too often, or they live on a boat, or they've got kids who punch their boyfriend in the nose. Or there's something. Then there's one called Fosca, which is Italian, and she rides in the intro, Jason. She rides a horse through the fields. The woman actually is a horse rider,
Hmm?
and she has love with some guy who owns a restaurant or something like that. And then there's Emily in Paris, which is, watching fashion similar to what Carrie Bradshaw was wearing on Sex and the City, but Emily is somebody different. So I'm mostly that, and Murder Inn is a wonderful series that's done with a different, very picturesque locale around France with a different actor. And if you watch enough of these French procedurals, you get to know the actors. I'll say, "Oh, Nicolas Gob. Oh, Martine Delterme. Oh my!" And it's like, "Oh, a family member is on TV because you've seen them on their own shows." Stefan Blacketford. Oh, I have a crush on him. Oh, he's in this one. Oh, he's in that one, it's just lovely. There's also one called the Sandheim Murders, which is
Heard of
a
that.
Nordic. Nordic is very
Yeah.
popular for procedurals, and they're speaking Danish or Norwegian, and I have to obviously watch the subtitles. So those are what I watch. I can't do much in terms of holiday movies because I would cry. I would just cry, and I don't like to cry alone because I live alone now, and I would cry. So there we go. Let's see if there's anything else on our list of over the top. I think we're good.
Hmm.
Are you ready? Do you have a couple of wacky say what stories for me? And you want to share visuals? The share button is open if you want to.
Okay. I don't have any visuals necessarily. I just have the titles. Of course, I'm a writer, so I think of titles.
Okay.
So the first one I stumbled on was "Stop chasing on the run emu in your 4x4s."
Hello. You want
Yeah.
to tell me more, please?
So I just read a very short article, and it was essentially that there was some escaped emus, but oddly they didn't know where they escaped from, which I thought was an interesting, news article, very well researched. It's like there's some emus, we don't know where they come from, and they were like the police had set like traps, local wildlife people had set traps like with food, they trying to gain their trust, but local people kept seeing them and chasing them down with their 4x4s, trying to catch them, I guess, and they were like, "You're not going to catch them with your 4x4."
I love it.
And so don't do it because
I love
they're
it.
gonna just keep running. So that was
I
the first
love it.
one.
I want to go back and forth in tandem. So
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm going to share one, and I'm going to share my screen. This is the only one I have a visual for. I think you'll enjoy this. If I get my notes up, here we are. Here he is. This is T-Rex wearing a Christmas sweater made from sustainable cotton at the Natural History Museum. And let me read you. This is the Natural History Museum. Where is it? It's London. Of course, it's in London. Marks the start of the holiday by dressing its animatronic T-Rex in
Oh,
a festive Christmas sweater, and they call it jumpers. Excuse me, Jason. This year's outfit was crafted from 100% sustainable organic cotton by an ethical garment factory in Manchester. So we now have a sustainable T-Rex outfit. The Warm Winter Woolly collection has been created exclusively by Not Just NOTJUST, a Manchester-based social enterprise and ethical factory. It's anticipated to attract only 6 million visitors, interestingly. And this company, Not Just, has created premium bespoke garments, and their virtual campaigns raised over 100,000 euros for charities, and there's a list here, including Save the Children. I thought you would get a kick out of that. What do you think?
that's
Cool?
pretty cool.
Cool beans?
Yeah, that's
What's your
cool. That's got to be one giant sweater if it's on a T-Rex.
Absolutely. But they also make the same theme in hats and mittens and scarves and
Yeah.
human sweaters, and they offer them in the gift shop. Of course.
Yeah, that's cool.
Of course they do. So what's your second one?
Oh, let me see here. Oh, here we go. Truck fire. Oh, I scrolled too much. It says truck fire covers California highway in melted chocolate. That one jumped out because I'm like, oh, I can see it. Like the minute it was one of those, headlines that you're just like, yeah, I can see the highway covered in melted chocolate with a burning truck there. It has to smell. Well, first I was like, it's got to smell terrible because it's burning chocolate, which doesn't, that sounds. But it was okay because it was just the cab of the truck that caught fire, and the driver, got jumped out and everything. It was a brake problem, and so the cargo just melted. It didn't burn, so it just melted. I'm like, oh, that had to be like the best smelling accident, hazardous cleanup ever.
Do you think people came with cups of hot water and milk and scooped it up to make hot chocolate?
I was reading. I'm like, I would be trying to eat it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be trying to I'm sure it's covered in like diesel fumes and all kinds of stuff. But I'm like,
Don't. Oh my.
Be so yummy.
Did they say it was dark chocolate? That's heart healthy. Was it dark
Oh,
chocolate?
I don't know. You know what? I assumed in my head it's
Mm.
dark chocolate, to be honest, because that's the only chocolate I really eat.
Me
But
too. Me too. You want to
yeah.
know my trick for always having chocolate in the house?
Mm.
I buy the Nestle's dark chocolate chips in
Oh,
medium or the large, and I keep a bag in the freezer at all times. And if I'm really desperate for chocolate, I'll either eat them frozen. You don't want to bite, they can break your teeth, but let them come to room temperature and just take a handful, put them in a little bowl, and eat them like candy.
yeah. Yeah. I always have, if my house is fewer than 72 ounces of chocolate chips in the house and it's an emergency. So I buy them in the big bags at the big stores, you know? So they're 72-ounce bags. I usually have four of them stacked in the basement, ready to go because I do a lot of baking and it's mandatory. I according to my children that everything has chocolate chips in it. So no matter
I,
banana bread, chocolate chips.
I
Right,
knew I
right.
liked you. I knew I liked you. We had
So
to get this far into the show till I figured out exactly why. It's the chocolate chip connection. No, yeah, I thought I had this mysterious secret I was sharing with you. Well, I'm glad we share that in common. I'm going to share my screen again for another picture. And this is, if you remember, the
hmm,
actor Dick Van Dyke.
yeah.
He is going to be 99 years old. And what date is his birthday? It's in here somewhere. I think it's the 13th of this month, the 15th, something like that. It's
Okay.
this week. And he is dancing in a Coldplay video.
Oh,
Can you believe that? Dancing barefoot. And this is the picture. He is actually barefoot here. And he's offering meditations on aging, family, and love, directed by Spike Jones, of all people. Is that something?
that is
This,
awesome. You know, I'm not surprised because I saw him. He was in one of the Night at the Museum movies not too long
mm-hmm.
ago, like one of the more recent ones.
Yep.
And I assume he was 80 something, and he was dancing in that movie, and like he looked great.
Yep,
He still had great moves.
absolutely. And they say he started in the Dick Van Dyke Show from 1961 to 66, danced his way in Mary Poppins 60 years ago, and he has signature dance moves.
Yeah.
And December 13th is his birthday. So it's
Okay.
this Friday, Friday the 13th. Okay. He is introduced with a title card saying he was born in 1925, and he pokes fun at his age. And he says, I'm too old for this. I'll pass out and go to sleep. I'll take a nap. And he laughs. And here's a picture of him dancing at 93, at the age of 93 on a piano. Is this something?
Oh my
At the
goodness.
Kennedy
On a
Center.
piano.
Yes, he was honored or it looks like a desk of some kind.
Oh yeah, it is.
He was
Yep.
dancing at the Kennedy Center in 2021. That was 4 years ago, January, 4 years, 3 years ago, and almost coming up on four. So with Emily Blunt and Lin-Manuel Miranda in Mary Poppins Returns. Is that cool?
That's super cool.
Yep.
Yep.
And you have a third one?
I
Yes,
do
you
have a
have a
third.
yeah,
You
go
have a
ahead.
third. Let me see. Oh yeah, this was just there was a picture. I don't have the picture. I guess I could click on it, but Michigan High School Choir belts out holiday tunes from a towering Christmas tree. Now, I should have gotten the picture for this one because the Christmas tree is literally 40 students tall or something like that. Like literally, well, it can't be 40 students. That'd be huge. I forget how tall it is, but they're literally on this giant Christmas tree, singing Christmas tunes, and uh, it was it was impressive, I have to say. It was all lit up and everything. But I think the most astonishing thing about it is the fact that it's been going on for years. It's like the first time I heard about it, I'm like, you would think a tower, like a Christmas tree of high schoolers singing, would have made the news before. Like, would have,
Wouldn't you?
right. That's an image. Like that.
One would think, wouldn't one?
Right.
Absolutely. Well, it's certainly in the spirit of the season.
Yeah. So,
Okay. My last one is, do you remember your grandparents' phone number? Do you?
no.
Do you
Mm-mm.
remember your parents' phone number when we had dial phones?
Um, no. I thought I
Okay.
did. I
I
had part
still
of it, but nope.
I still remember my home phone. It was 229-5090. And it
Uh,
was It was Queens, New York. So it was, I think it was 718, but we didn't, I don't remember if we had area codes when I was, I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, this article is here with 10 things you don't need to remember anymore. One is phone numbers, because guess what? They're in your phone. They're
Yeah.
there, right? So you don't need to remember. I don't remember them. Birthday and anniversary dates, right? And you
Hmm.
used to put them in a paper calendar.
That's
Mary's
true.
birthday, the 13th. Some people still do. Addresses, same thing. You pull up and get a pin when you're looking for something. It tells you where to go. You get instructions on your phone. Directions, same thing. People used to carry maps in their cars. Now you just put in Waze or Google Maps and it tells you where to go. Appointment
Yeah.
dates, same thing. Passwords, that's a big one. We used to have just one or two. I remember my password. Now, what are there? 500 passwords you have,
Hmm.
and you can't make them all the same, and they're being hacked all the time. To-do lists, same thing. And they were saying that when you go to the store, if you don't remember, you have to go up and down every aisle saying, what was that thing I needed? Was it in the baking aisle? Was it in the dairy aisle? Do you have Alexa in your house?
No. Mm-mm. Nope. Don't want anything listening to me.
Well, okay. Well, that's a good point. Well, she listens a lot. We have conversations. Anyway, she's doing the Wicked theme now. So she'll say, you're welcome. What'd she say? Trying to keep you defying gravity. Right, Elphaba? No, but you're right. And so that's yeah. When I get up in the morning, I'll say, Alexa, what's the weather? Good morning, B.D. Graham. Here's the weather for you. It's like having a friend in the house, but not too
Yeah.
friendly. But anyway, what was my point on this? A friend told me that you can ask her to put stuff on your shopping list. You have to be very
I,
specific. You can't say grocery store. You can't say supermarket. You have to say on my shopping list. So
yeah.
if I get Wi-Fi in my local Food Lion, I pull up my phone and the Wi-Fi works, I go to my shopping list. I know most of it in my head, but just in case there's something I needed at the time, I put on the list and then you check it and it goes into the already purchased or forget about this.
I still write it on a little scrap of paper, and
Uh,
I pull the scrap of paper out at the store. Okay.
I'll tell you a trick before I discovered the Alexa shopping app. You want to know my trick?
Yeah.
Just before something was finished, milk or cream or bacon or something, peanut butter, jelly, chopped meat, chopped turkey. I don't eat red meat. I would take a picture of the package on my
Hmm.
phone. So when I got to the store, I went to my photos and there was a picture. There was the milk, there were the eggs, there was the onion, there was the apple, there was the ham,
Yeah.
there was the bananas, and my whole shopping list was all pictures. And I knew exactly the brand, I knew the size, I knew everything I needed to buy, all in pictures.
Yeah,
Never did
that's
that.
interesting. That's a way to do it. Yeah, like the phone camera. You know, like if you ask kids, right, what do you take a picture with? And they say your phone. You know, you take it with a camera. But anyways, if you the phone camera is like the most bizarre thing because like you can take what thing that I don't know why this astonished me, but what astonished me is like you can take a picture of something on your somebody else's phone. Like you know, your phone can look at a QR code and somebody else. I'm like, but that's a screen. Take a picture of a screen. Like for some reason, it doesn't seem like it should work to me. I mean, I know at some level there's no reason it shouldn't, but it just seems so weird that you're like taking a picture of a picture and it works
Yes,
out.
picture of a picture. I just got the new 16 Pro Max
Oh yeah, that's
iPhone
huge.
Pro Max, and it's big. I had to get a new case for it, and there's a new button on the right side here,
Huh?
and this is the camera button, and there we go. Camera opens automatically for
Yeah,
you. Instead of having to go to the app, and I could take a picture of me talking to you right now.
that's
I
so
just
weird.
took two
Yeah,
pictures right there, right there.
I
See?
see your picture of you making a picture of you making a picture.
I know. So that's something very interesting, and it is heavy, but I like the Max, the Pro Max one. Another thing is recipes and cooking times. I have umpteen
Oh,
cookbooks. My mother gave me all her cookbooks from the 40s
yeah.
and 50s. I have wonderful cookbooks. I have a couple shelves of them. You really think I look at them anymore? Seriously?
Just
If
Google
I,
it, right?
well, I ask Alexa. I say, Alexa,
Oh,
I need a recipe for bread pudding, or for, let's say,
right.
for rice pudding. And she'll say, I have one from food this and I have one from that. Do you want
Hmm.
me to give you list ingredients, start the recipe instructions? You want me to send it to your phone? Do you want me to read it now? There's like eight options. Or do you want me to go to next recipe? The only
Huh.
trouble is she can't really, she'll say next. You'll say next and she won't respond. You have to say Alexa next. You have to reprompt her every time.
Okay.
And sometimes you'll say, let's go to the other recipe. And she'll say, I don't know what you're talking about. So you curse at her. And the other thing is, so recipes online. And the other thing is weather conditions. We used to have to watch TV, the weather, or listen to the radio. And now I wake up, what's the weather? Like I really need to know. I don't leave the house. What's the weather? And she'll tell me. And she's right about 90% of the time.
Huh, wow.
Not bad. She said it was going to rain, and I looked outside before we started, and it just started raining. So,
Hmm.
yeah, so those are my articles. So, anything you want to close with? We've been talking a little while. I've got the music ready to go for the outro, and I do have to give credit. You met him on my Crystal Ball prediction show last week, Serge Hoffman, my friend who's the composer and orchestra leader, and he composes music for Cirque du Soleil and for films, and he wrote the music that you heard in the intro. He wrote the music, and he sings it and he plays it. I wrote the lyrics to So You Want to Be, just so you know.
Oh,
So I have to give credit, and he wants to re-record it in January and send me a new version, and we'll see. He said it's up to me if I like the old one or the new one. So anything you want to say, any shout outs you want to do?
no, I mean, not really. I think that it's been great to be on the show, and I really enjoyed being on any of yours, Crystal Ball, any of the other stuff. Always fun talking to you.
You're
So just thanks
very
for having me.
You're very kind. I'm very, very. And you want to do a shout out to your kids?
Oh, well, I can say hello, kids, though they won't ever want to watch this at all. Doesn't have enough, like, Nintendo characters or anything else in it. So, but yes,
I got
hello,
me.
children.
I'm a saucy character. There you go. They wouldn't even
Yeah.
know what that means. I'm going to play the music. Don't stick around. We'll take some pictures. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. Thank you, Jason P. Can you hear that?
Yep.
So you wanna be
Let me raise the volume a little bit.
a
A cool kid. Hanging. I didn't bring my drumsticks. They're in the other room.
looking real.
I'm in a debate about acoustic versus digital drum kits with somebody on LinkedIn, having a really good conversation. Bought a digital set. I said no, 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 and I showed him mine. Here we go. Bop, 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 bop. Thank you very much. Let me lower the music and let me say thank you to Jason P. It's been delightful. Thank you for accepting my invitation. Wave goodbye to social. Bye bye social. We wish you a happy